Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I have not filmed a video in a few days, so apologies if this is a little bit weird and a bit out of practice. Christmas in July, we are on day 22, and today we have I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. So, yeah. I remember when I put out a little thing of what do you want me to cover in this year's Christmas in July, somebody had suggested, apologies, can't remember off the top of my head who it is, maybe some Christmas scenes. Now I've done a couple, maybe one, maybe two Christmas scenes so far. So that's what I'm going to try and do with this prompt. Yeah, and we'll see what I get up to. So for those that don't know, Christmas in July is where I try to do 31 days of Christmas card or project making with a video for each one, and it's quite a mammoth undertaking. Had managed to get myself filmed a little ahead of schedule. I knew that this last week would have been challenging to do too much in, and I was right. So hence this is me catching up now going, oh, panic. I'm sure I'll be fine though. The good news is that in the background, there's been a lot going on, including a lot of design teamwork, and I have just finished the last sample. So yeah, over the last few weeks, I have made 116 samples, and I am relieved that that is over and done with for the moment. There will be more projects in the future, but this little batch, I need to do all the photography work and all of the admin stuff, and I need to send the samples off to my lovely friend Martin, including one that's quite large, and I'm not entirely sure how the heck to send it to him, but I'll work that out. But the actual making is done, and I am relieved. So yeah, Christmas in July is quite a mammoth undertaking at the same time as all that's happening, but you know, and working full time, I've managed it. So yeah, so big whoop to me. I'm feeling very happy. I'm also feeling really happy because my YouTube channel has done some weird explosion thing, and there's so many followers and there's so many comments, and it's so lovely and I love it all. So yeah, some lovely comments from people. So this is my little thing to say. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. There is obviously one daily in July is the plan, but after that I don't do daily. That's too much to achieve. But there are plenty of other projects coming up. There's loads of past things you can go and watch as well, and there are playlists for this year's Christmas in July, last year's and the year before. So if you want more festive things, go check those out. Right, let's get crafting. So I did have a slight plan for this one, and that was to use the mini jelly plates. I actually ended up using the circle one, and some distress oxides to create some fun little vignettes. Is that the right word? I think it is. Little scenes, little backgrounds that I could then use those magazine, I think it was Creative Stamping Magazine stamps to stamp onto to create my little winter scenes. Now, admittedly, one of them's definitely far from looking like a white Christmas, but there you go. Sometimes the plan, you forget what your theme is. Let's just say that. Especially when you're having lots of fun. This is so quick and easy and fun to do. I love little jelly printed panels. Apologies if you can hear water running in the background. The dishwasher's on, I've just put it on. Yeah, I just love these, but I know that they will not be everybody's cup of tea because they are totally unpredictable. You cannot control it. It goes where it goes. It does what it does. And so, quickly before we go off the screen, because I'm about to finish, because that's how quick and easy it was, what I'm doing is putting a little bit of ink onto my jelly plate, using it as a stamp. I'm giving it a spritz with water, and then I'm just going to lay it down. And what I tend to do is try and dry layers in between, especially with the distress oxides, because you don't want them to turn into complete mud. Bearing in mind there is a brown one there. But yeah, if you dry the layers in between, then you get layers of the colour rather than it all blending into one colour. And that's it. There you go. There's my little vignettes. That's the easy bit.
And that's the bit that probably most people struggle with, because there was no control. There was no real thought to it. I knew this technique. I know this technique. I've done this many times before. So it's not unfamiliar to me. But it's literally whack a bit of ink onto your jelly plate, spritz it with water, plonk it onto some cardstock. Ideally quite a porous cardstock, something like a watercolour cardstock. This isn't watercolour cardstock I'm using, but it is a very thick and quite porous cardstock. To be honest, I don't even know where I got this cardstock from. It might have been cut out of a journal. No, it was a piece of A4, wasn't it? I don't know where I've got it from. And then all I'm doing is making those into sort of like wintry sky background to them. And then I'm sticking these stamps over the top. They're not all silhouette stamps. There's probably another set of stamps that would have been better for this. But this is the one that I'd put in the folder. And I thought, no, that'll do. I am denied about that moon. You'll see the moon comes back a bit later. But I wondered about the moon. And I'm just creating my little scenes. On this one, I've added the cottage, which obviously is not a silhouette stamp. I am just going to loosely cut around the stamp so that I can then layer some trees behind it. And I am using my stamp wheel, and I'm using VersaFine black ink. And the reason I'm using that is because sometimes I just want to do a double impression to make sure it's definitely stamped it nicely. Now, you'll have also seen I've done them at weird angles, and that's because I'm kind of looking at how the ink has gone down in the backgrounds and determining what is the best place to put this. What looks like it might be a landscape, what looks like it might be the ground, if I'm looking for a grounding place. What would be a good place to put it? I couldn't really talk you through the exact reasons why I chose what I chose. I just liked how they looked. And so that's the reason why some of them were on an angle, etc. Now, I have decided to get rid of the wonky edges. I could have just cut these out as square panels with the circle imprinted in the middle, but I decided to get rid of the wonky edges. Part of me wishes I didn't, but, you know, we do what we do and we live with it and it's fine. But I then decided to just die cut them out. So I've used a stitched circle framelit type die. I've had these for years from Stampin' Up. They were Sizzix dies, but, you know, like years and years and years I've had these. And then I'm using my alcohol markers just to add a little bit of shading and depth to a couple of the images. So the cottage, for example, needs to be not see-through because it's not a see-through cottage. So I added, but I'm just using basically dark grey and brown tones to do that. And this is where the moon came out again. So I decided I did want to add the moon in, but I wanted the moon to be white because I had tried it with the black ink and thought, no, it doesn't look right. It needs to be in white. And now I am adding my sentiments, and I'm using Versamark and some white embossing powder to add all of these things. This is where I wish I knew where my tweezers were to hold them, because I did manage to slightly singe my fingers. I do not advise using a heat tool that close to where your fingers are. It's not clever. And yeah, and I added, the first one I added with the trees, the little trees that's on the bluish coloured one. I did add some, like, it looks like footprints in the snow. It doesn't look like footprints, like little divots in the snow. So I've added that. I've added my moon, and now I'm adding my sentiment. So I chose Sending Warm Wishes for 2 of them, and then used a different sentiment for the others, which was just on my desk. I did add a little bit of black soot ink just where I had added the sentiments, just so that they would be a little brighter and stand out a little bit more. And here I've added the sentiments over the black stamping so that they definitely show through. So I wouldn't say that all of these are reminiscent of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Maybe my little cottage, my little tree scene rather than the big tree. They're probably my ones that are closest to I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. However, you know what? I made the others, so I'm going to use those too. Now, at this point, I have definitely got inky fingers, so I have to go and clean them because I've managed to get black smudges on the card. Good news is, it's a handmade card, it's absolutely fine, and they get a little bit of my DNA at the same time. But also, I just turn it over. Nobody really looks at the backs of cards, it's fine. At some point, I will stamp my Inky Fingered Cat stamp on it. I decided to make all 4 cards up in a slightly different way to just show you can use them in different ways when you do these kinds of artsy panels. So first one, pure and simple, added it to the white card base, used the foam to give it dimension. Then the second one, I added just a panel of cardstock, just the green cardstock that I thought went with the scene. Again, kept that fairly simple. I do come back and just add to those 2 a little bit later. This one, I went with a square card, so slightly more of a note card size. I think that was around about 4 inches by 4 inches, might have been slightly less. And then I've added a panel of white cardstock cut just slightly smaller that I've embossed. Most of it's covered, but it just shows that little bit of texture. This time I've kept it flat, both the panel and the little circle. So the first 2 were popped up on dimensionals. These ones, not so much. These are very flat. And this final one I kept completely and utterly flat. Just stuck it down. Did use a bit of wet glue. I find with these, because there was quite a lot of water added, the cardstock's a little bit warped, so it helps to use wet glue and just plonk something heavy on top. I didn't have anything to put on the inside, so instead I just alternated the stamp that I used. So the Sending Warm Wishes then has the From My House to Your House or something like that, and the other one I put Merry and Bright on the inside again. So these 2 that I did at the very beginning, which were just raised up on dimensionals, I decided to add some splatter. I used the Kingston Crafts, and I used the one that's kind of like a whitey gold kind of mica in it, and it just adds a little bit of splatter and a little bit of shimmer just to make it edged up a little bit. I couldn't leave it just so plain. And that, after I've cleaned up, is my 4 cards. So I know this won't be for everyone. I make no apologies for it because I love it. If I wasn't doing Christmas in July, would I have sat there and jelly printed loads and loads and loads of these? Yes, I would, because that's what I tend to do. And then I have them there ready to grab when I want to use them in future. I always do that when I'm doing jelly printing normally, but you know, I left 2 that I didn't use. They are still sat on my desk. I will find a use for them, but right this moment, I thought 4 cards was enough for today. I planned at the beginning of this series to only make 1 card for each project. It's not worked because sometimes I just get carried away. I wonder if you enjoyed this. I'd love to hear in the comments. Are you someone who occasionally likes to just go completely wild and do something unpredictable like this, and cute little inky panels? And have you used jelly plates before? I know quite a lot of people use them with paints. I have used them with paints, but I prefer using them with inks. I just think that they're really cute. Okay, once again, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe for future videos. Until next time, bye-bye.